Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. Special edition of Got Your Six Racing Network. Obviously, the overlay at the beginning of the screen. This is not Friday Night Lights. This is Coast to Coast Racing League Speedweeks, a benefit charity for the Stephen King Foundation. So we have come along. Roger Craig invited us in, so here we are out on the track. You'll see we are at Volusia. The UMP's out on the track, and a familiar face from Friday Night Lights, Isaac Salas, at the top of the board in the 5-car. Got about a 21-car field tonight. Tonight, the show has pro late models, 40-lap feature, followed by something new to me, the GT3's on the road course at the Daytona road course. So we'll see how that goes. I did a NASCAR race once upon a time, filled in, and definitely not my strong point. But nonetheless, here we are. We're getting ready to do this. So again, the UMPs are out on the track. We're going to be advancing to qualifying here. This is the Coast to Coast Racing League. You can find information on them, C2CRL.com. Do a ton of charity races and race every night of the week except for Fridays. That's kind of where Friday Night Lights stepped in. Getting ready to advance here. Isaac Salas, Brian Lawson, Brandon Dittmer, Brennan Lacey, Greg Parmalee, top of the board in practice. Keith Jackson in the 113 out on track, currently 6th quick. Kyle Moonen in the 13 car is out on track, currently 14th quick. Barry Goldner, a little bit of contact there. And we have advanced to qualifying. Again, thank you all for tuning in. If you want to just donate to the Stephen King Foundation, I'm sure you can do that too. All the information, you'll find it at C2CRL.com. As we will try to follow along as the track cars come out on the track. Let's see who's the first one out. It'll be my teammate in the 31 machine. That is Brandon Templeton, driver out of Corning, Iowa, is out on track. Isaac Salas back on track. Stephen Goldner is with us in the 38 machine. Steven Bixler coming out of the pits. Keith Jackson, Brennan Lacey are with us. Start to get some lap times here momentarily. Donovan Ross is with us in the 05 machine. Brandon Templeton, top of the board, 16:37 for the 31. Brandon Dittmer times in P2. That didn't last long. Brennan Lacey, 16:53, good enough for P2. Brandon Dittmer drops back down. The 9 car, Brian Lawson, times in 16:62. Chad Griggs times in 16:47 in the 27 ride. Keith Jackson with a 16:48 in the 113. Brian Lawson moves down. Now he's back up. Good second lap by Lawson. 16:41 puts him in the top 5. Chad Griggs with a 16:37. So far, your quick time. Randy Shreves out on track in the 56. First lap good enough for 5th quick. See if he can move up the board. He is in the top 5. Blake Chapman out on track in the 20 machine. 16:57. Good enough for 7th quick on his first lap. The 007, James Bond, 16:43, puts the 007 in the top 5. Greg Boydell, driver out of Canada, is with us. Moves up to P6, 16:48 on his first lap. I guess that was his second lap. He'll shut it down 6 quick. Sam Bachman, top of the board in the 007, 16:36. For the James Bond ride. Ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap up qualifying. We're getting ready to go heat racing. Got Sam Bachman, Brian Lawson on the front row. Randy Shreves, Kyle Moonen to his outside in the 13, the car that is for sale. Donovan Ross will start on the inside of row number 3 with Jason Butterfield to his outside in the 93, and our very own Roger Craig will round out the field in the 747. Up front, Sam Bachman. Have 8-lap heat races here. Lights are off on the pace truck. We're going to go quick caution here and get the show underway. FTM on the front row. Pace truck will exit this next time by, leaving the field 2-1 each. Sam Bachman with tonight's quick time in the UMP modifieds. Something a little bit different for Got Your Six Racing Network. Pace truck is off. Brian Lawson looking for the green flag. Green flag is out. Ladies and gentlemen, 8 laps to get it done. We are underway. Everybody advancing to the feature. Bachman will dive down, slides off the bottom. That opens the door for Brian Lawson. Lawson able to cut down underneath the 007. He'll slide. Bachman coming off of turn 4. Lap 1 led by Brian Lawson. Sam Bachman, Randy Shreves. Now Kyle Moonen moves up into 13, into P3. Randy Shreves falls back to P4. Donovan Ross, Roger Craig. A little bit of contact there. The chrome horn from Roger Craig. The 93 car of Butterfield rounds out your 7 drivers that are on the track. We'll go on board with the 007. That is Sam Bachman in there working hard, trying to chase down the Venom Racing driver of Brian Lawson. You can see his hands real busy inside of the 007. Those two are nose to tail. It's a little ways back to Moonen. Bachman going to try to go down low. Can't get a good run off the bottom of 4. Lap 5 of 8 in progress. Randy Shreves back there trying to get up to the 13 car of Kyle Moonen. Can't quite get it done yet. Both those drivers running a similar line. Brian Lawson holding down the front, the Venom Racing driver. Lawson and Sam Bachman, FTM and Venom Racing going at it early here. Back of the field, kind of spread out, plenty of room for everybody to run. This is where the action is at. Now Randy Shreves is going to take a look. He charges into 3 hard, loses some momentum off the high side. 1 lap to go. Brian Lawson still holding off Bachman at the front of the pack in heat number 1. Lawson will go the middle. Bachman thought about cutting down, I think. Lawson, Bachman, Moonen, Shreves, Butterfield are your top 5 in heat number 1. Heat number 2 coming to the grid. Again, like to thank everybody for tuning in. Waiting for Chad Griggs, but Griggs and Jackson will be on the front row. Brendan Lacey and Steven Bixler in row number 2. Jack Clevenger and Greg Parmalee in row number 3. And Gary Offit will round out your field of 7 drivers. Chad Griggs did make the grid here. Again, we'll go quick caution. We'll go green next time by. Again, this is the Coast to Coast Racing League Speedweeks. It will be the 27. Good-looking ride. That will take us to the green flag as the pace truck makes its slow exit. Cars are in the start zone. Green flag is out. Heat number 2, night number 1 of the Coast to Coast Racing League Speedweeks. 27 car goes down. It can't quite hold the bottom, slides up in front of Keith Jackson, and it gets the Chad Griggs into 27 room to get out in front of the field. Brendan Lacey in the 414 moves up to P2. Now Keith Jackson is going to fight back. The 75 car, that is Steven Bixler. You can tell these cars go in super quick, big, heavy, skinny tire cars. Hard to hold the bottom. Most of them sliding up. Chad Griggs getting it done at the front of the field, however. He's running just above. You can see the track starting to wear in. Griggs with a good lead. Brent Lacey in P2. Keith Jackson, Steven Bixler, Jack Clevenger with company. Greg Parmalee back there. Parmalee's going to try to sneak underneath. Loses momentum coming off of 4. Had the pass made. Jack Clevenger able to hold on. Gary Offit in the back of the field up front. Not missing anything up front, with front 4 spaced out pretty evenly with Jackson, Bixler right here. Steven Bixler in the 75 car. Thought about taking a look at the 113 of Keith Jackson. Both those cars running a similar line. '27 car of Craig Griggs started. Chad Griggs, my apologies, started on the pole of the heat race. We're on lap 6 of 8. He has led every lap so far in that number 27 ride. Brendan Lacey holding down P2. Keith Jackson, Steven Bixler, all spread out about an even space between them here at Volusia. Greg Parmalee and Gary Offit as the white flag is out. Chad Griggs, 2 more corners to navigate for the 27 car. Punch a Heat 2 win coming off of 4. Griggs, Lacey, Jackson, Bixler, Jack Clevenger, Parmalee, and Gary Offit. Heat 3 coming to the grid. My teammate and great friend in the Dirt Track Bank number 31, Brandon Templeton, will start on the inside of row number 1 with Canada's own Greg Boydell to his outside. The 20 car, that is young Blake Chapman with Brandon Dittmer to his outside in the 83. Stephen Goldner in the 30 machine with the 5 car of Isaac Salas to his outside. And Barry Goldner will round out your field of 7 drivers. The 31 car, Brandon Templeton, will take us to green on a short caution lap. Pace truck should exit this next time by. Again, greatly appreciate everybody for tuning in on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. We're also on Got Your 6 Racing Network on Facebook and YouTube, I believe. Green flag is out. Ladies and gentlemen, heat number 3 underway. I think this will be our last heat. Templeton not able to hold the bottom once again. Slides up in front of Boydell. Boydell has to check up. Chapman's going to run the bottom. He'll tuck underneath the 014. Thinking about going 3 wide back there. That is Chapman, Boydell, and Dittmer. If anyone can hold the bottom, it'll be that 20 car, but even he is struggling. Oh, he gets up, pushes Stephen Goldner out into the fence there a little bit as Templeton is starting to get away from the field. A lot of action for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Greg Boydell getting it done, holding down P2. 83 car, Brandon Dittmer in the P4, P3, Blake Chapman in P4. Haven't broadcasted for Coast to Coast Racing League in a long time, but I'm telling you, the kid in that 20 car will have it figured out before long for sure. Brandon Templeton running away with it at the front of the field. You're not missing anything. Corning, Iowa driver up front, Greg Boydell. Now we're starting to space out a little bit. Boydell, Dittmer, Chapman, Steve Goldner. Barry Goldner in the 36 car, trying to get it figured out. On lap 6 of 8, 1 point, a little over a second lead by Templeton back to Greg Boydell in the 0-1-4. Go on board with Blake Chapman and see what he's looking at, sitting in P4 as the 83 battles it out with the 0-14 of Boydell. Good looking wrap on the 83 ride. Templeton coming off of turn 4. Heat 3 win for Templeton, followed by Boydell, Dittmer, Chapman, Goldner, and Goldner. That should take us to 3 minutes of warm-up. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Warm-ups are underway. Chad Griggs in the 27 car, picking right up where he left off in his heat race at the top of the board. Brandon Templeton not far behind in the 31. 2 heat winners running at the top of the pack here in warm-up. Sam Bachman, another Heat 1 winner in the 007. He's currently 4th quick in practice. As we're getting ready to go feature racing, 40 laps, UMP Mods at Volusia. as we're waiting for the cars to come to the grid. On the front row, Brian Lawson with Chad Griggs to his outside. Brandon Templeton in the 31 will be on the inside of row number 2 with Sam Bachman to his outside. Brendan Lacey in the 414 and Greg Boydell in row number 3. Yeah. Kyle Moonen with Keith Jackson to his outside. Brandon Dittmer, Randy Shreves in row number 5. Stephen Bixler, Blake Chapman in 6. Jason Butterfield, Jack Clevenger in 7. Steve Goldner, Donovan Ross in row number 8. Greg Parmalee, Barry Goldner in row number 9. Roger Craig, Gary Offit in row 10. And North Dakota's own Isaac Salas will start at the tail end of the field. So it will be Venom Racing's own Brian Lawson in the 9 ride. That will take us to green. Again, these cars very difficult to hold the bottom. In the heat races we've seen, the leader look in good shape going into turn 1 and washing up the track and slowing down everybody behind him. So we'll see how it goes here as we will go one more time around. This is a Coast to Coast Racing League Speedweeks. Speedweeks goes to a very good cause, Stephen King Foundation. Coast to Coast Racing League holds this every year as the pace truck is looking for pit road. Brian Lawson in the 9 cars looking for the green flag. Green flag is out. Brian Lawson, he will wash up 27 with the crossover. Anticipated it. Chad Griggs with a good run into turn 3. Slide job coming. Will it be a crossover? No, sir. Griggs leads lap number 1. Brian Lawson, Brandon Templeton, Sam Bachman, Brennan Lacey were 3 and 4 wide back here. Looks like Bachman had a good run. As the caution comes out, Gary Offit, take a peek here. There is your contact. Hopefully my replay cooperates. We've been having problems with that. That is the 36 of Goldner. Just gets up and gets loose, comes down and collects the 101 ride. So we made it 3 laps. We'll go back green on lap 4. 27 car, that is Chad Griggs at the front of the field, followed by Brian Lawson, Brandon Templeton, Sam Bachman, Brendan Lacey are your top 5. Greg Boydell, Randy Shreves, Kyle Moonen, Brandon Dittmer, and Blake Chapman are your top 10. Lights are still on the pace truck. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, we have the GT3 on the Daytona road course. The race lasts 1 hour. Something a little bit different for sure. Brian Lawson will start on the inside of the front row. Pace truck looks for pit road, leaving the green flag is out. We are back underway. Lawson doesn't get going very well, and that will slow up a couple of cars behind him as Chad Griggs puts a gap on the field. Brian Lawson able to recover in P2. Sam Bachman runs into the back of the 31 car. Brandon Templeton got a little bit sideways. Brennan Lacey, we got a mess right here. Holy smokes. As the caution comes out, you saw that one coming. Take a look. That is Lawson in the FTM 007. You can see cars bouncing off of each other. Lawson just wrong place, nowhere to go for the 007. Randy Shreve's involved. Greg Parmalee involved. So a host of cars will go in for a quick repair on lap 5 of 40. UMPs are not a normal car that we run at Friday Night Lights or C2C. So kind of different. Both these cars and the GT3's. If you're interested in joining the Coast to Coast Racing League, they race 6 nights a week. You can go to c2crl.com. Got a ton of broadcasts. It was the first real racing league that I joined in iRacing. Very well run. If you're interested, again, c2crl.com. You can see the lights still on the pace truck. We will double back up. Chad Griggs will take the outside once again. Brian Lawson tucks back in on the inside of row number 1. Brandon Templeton and Brennan Lacey in row 2. Blake Chapman up 7 positions, as is Jack Clevenger. Isaac Salas currently in 9th in the 5 car. He's moved up 11 positions. As the pace truck makes the left turn into pit road, leaving the field to the driver on the outside of the front row. That is Chad Griggs. Green flag is back out. We're underway. Brennan Lacey in the 414 able to take advantage. Brian Lawson got a little bit of loose in 1 and 2. He'll move back to 6th or further. Brandon Templeton in P3. Brandon Dittmer. Oh. Brian Lawson involved. Brian Lawson lost all kinds of positions in the 9 car. Just gets into that outside wall. Collects the 75. The 36 drove right through him. So Chad Griggs still at the front of the field. Move Brennan Lacey up. Brandon Templeton up. As the yellow flag is still out. Can't tell if the lights are on the pace truck. Looks like maybe the lights have gone off on lap 7 of 40. Again, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we have the GT3's on the road course at Daytona. Lights are on the pace truck. My apologies. So we'll go at least one more time around. Griggs, Lacey, Templeton, Dittmer, Chapman, your top 5. Clevenger, Jackson, Salas, Shreves, Craig are in the top 10. We'll go back green on lap 7 of 40. Pace truck takes a left turn into pit lane. We are single file, as you can tell. Griggs with the restart. Brendan Lacey took a peek down low early. It'll be Chapman down there battling it out with Jack Clevenger on the bottom. That's the 20 car and the 78. As Templeton takes it side by side with Brendan Lacey coming off of 4. Templeton at the line. He's going to go down low. Slide job coming. Crossover coming from Brendan Lacey. Can't quite close the deal. That'll move Templeton up to P2. Lacey, P3, Dittmer, Chapman, Clevenger. Side by side, Jack Clevenger on the bottom. Keith Jackson to his outside. Now Isaac Salas up 13 positions in that 05 machine. Looks like Jack Clevenger kind of stuck down low now as the high line starts to pick up. Sam Bachman back in the race. Currently in the 9th position, able to recover in the 007. Chad Griggs up front over almost a second gap between himself and Brandon Templeton. Brendan Lacey has company with Dittmer underneath, coming off of turn 4. Lacey able to hold off as the caution comes back out. Roger Craig crashed in the 747. Let's take a peek. Just looks like he got loose coming off of turn 2. Kyle Moonen to his outside. It's up in the slick. That's Brian Lawson coming into the picture. Nowhere for Brian Lawson to go. Can't woe it up. Gets into back of the 747. Around goes Roger Craig. Everyone else able to get by. Up front, Chad Griggs now has the 31 car, Brandon Templeton, on his bumper. We'll go on board with the second place driver as we go back to green here momentarily. We will go single file. See, the lights on the pace truck are still on. Griggs, Templeton, Lacey, Dittmer, Chapman, your top 5. Watch that 5 car, the South or North Dakota driver. Isaac Salas has moved himself into P6, started at the tail end of the field. Starting to work his way through. Not even halfway yet, so plenty of time for the cars further back in the field to make up some positions here. Pace truck makes the left turn. Green flag is out. We're back underway on lap 13 of 40. Isaac Salas, he is trying the bottom, but no one else has been able to make that work so far. The 5 car is going to give it a go. Again, the car with the skinny tires, big heavy body, rolls up, or slides up off the bottom. Salas able to move up one more in front of Randy Shreves in the 56. Brandon Dittmer with the slide job. Slides in front of Blake Chapman in the 20. Now the 5 of Salas with the slide job. Crossover coming from the 83. Brandon Dittmer able to keep it down low. Isaac Salas with a good run on the high side of 4. Blake Chapman falls in line with the 5 car, as does Randy Shreves. Dittmer tries to get back to the high side. No space there. Chad Griggs, comfortable gap between himself and Templeton. Templeton and Brendan Lacey starting to battle it out. Go on board with Lacey as he's on the back end of that 31 dirt track bank ride of Brandon Templeton. Like Lacey's running just about a hard length lower than the 31 as the dust is starting to come up here at Volusia. So starting to settle out in the front a little bit. Isaac Salas up 17 positions up to P4 in the 5 ride. Blake Chapman in tow. Brandon Dittmer in the 83. Randy Shreve, Steve Goldner battling it back for 7th and 8th. Jack Clevenger, Keith Jackson, Sam Bachman in the 007s, able to recover some of the positions lost. He's on the bottom as Kyle Moonen got by there momentarily, as did Keith Jackson. Greg Boydell still in the fight, back in 14th as the caution comes out. Barry Goldner involved. See what happened to Goldner. Like he's all by himself. Track's starting to get slick. 36 gets in a little bit too hot, and around he goes. That'll move the 36 car to somewhere in the back of the field. Chad Griggs still at the front of the field. Has led every lap. Isaac Salas able to move up 18 positions, currently in 3rd. He'll be behind Brandon Templeton in that 31 ride. So we made it to halfway, a little over halfway. On Daytona week, actually, 500, last I saw was the rain delay. Thank goodness I was recording it, so get to watch that on tomorrow's holiday. As the pace truck will take a left turn into pit road, leaving the field to Chad Griggs once again. Griggs nailing the restarts, able to open up a little bit of gap between himself and Brandon Templeton. Griggs will go down and hug the fence. We have not seen him run that line yet. Slider in 3 and 4, on the fence in 1 and 2. So your leader changing up his line. Brandon Templeton and Isaac Salas keep up on the high side. And Griggs is making that bottom line work in 1 and 2. Slider in 3 and 4. Opened up almost a second gap between himself and the 31. Now Templeton has a charge from Isaac Salas. This is on board Chad Griggs, your leader, as he goes into turn number 1. Like Templeton and Isaac Salas almost making contact. Isaac Salas wisely backs out. He'll fall back to P4. As he was up 18 positions, he'll fall back 1. Now Templeton has to deal with the youngster. That is Blake Chapman. Chapman's going to dive down low. Caution comes out. Jackson involved. We'll get a word with your top 3 at the conclusion of tonight's race. So Chad Griggs able to get it done. Won his heat race. Led every lap of the 27 so far. Templeton, Chapman, Isaac Salas, Brandon Dittmer are your top 5. Jack Clevenger, Sam Bachman, Randy Shreve, Stephen Goldner, and Kyle Moonen round out your top 10. I'm actually looking forward to my iRacing return. Haven't raced in, can't even remember last time I was in my rig. Going to be running with the 55 and older, the retreads on Coast to Coast Racing League. So looking forward to that. Sim rig currently under a little bit of construction, getting ready. We're typically preparing for the real race season the past 3 years. This year we are not going racing. Looks like the lights are off on the pace truck. We'll go back green on lap 28 of 40. Pace truck is off. Templeton trying to time that restart. Griggs has been an absolute master on restarts. The youngster Blake Chapman in the 20 goes down low. He's able to pull up beside the 31, gets the nose in front. No room to slide. Templeton on the high side coming off a 4. Templeton able to hold P2 at the line. As the caution comes back out, Brian Lawson once again caught up in an incident. See if we can find Mr. Lawson. Venom Driver has had an eventful night in the UMPs. Oh, not his fault. Greg Boydell comes down the track right into the 9 machine. Around goes Brian Lawson. So if someone can figure out the restart here, not let Griggs get such a big lead, it might have something for him. We'll go back green on lap 31 of 40. Again, Griggs, Templeton, Chapman, Salas, Jack Clevenger has moved the 78 up into the top 5. Dittmer, Bachman, Shreves, Goldner, and Kyle Moonen. That is your top 10. Greg Parmalee currently on the first car on the outside of the top 10, followed by Boydell, Brendan Lacey, Steve Bixler, Barry Goldner, Keith Jackson. The 5 car of Isaac Salas is one position out of a podium. He's currently moved up 17 so far. Started at the tail end of the field. Able to keep the 5 car clean. As the pace truck will make its slow exit from the speedway, leaving the field to Chad Griggs. Another good restart by Griggs. Gaps Templeton by a little bit. Griggs and Chapman go down low. Templeton and Salas will stay up high. Jack Clevenger in the 78 also dove down low. Templeton way up out in the loose stuff. Into the outside fence, around and over the 31 car goes. Templeton just got way up high. You'll see him get into the marbles at the exit of turn 4. Got the 20 car down low. He's able to gather it back in. Just gets that right rear end of the fence, and around goes the 31 and collects Isaac Salas. Don't know how much damage was done to the 5 car, but over Templeton goes. So, new top 5. Griggs, Chapman, Clevenger, Dittmer, Bachman, your top 5. We saw Sam Bachman in the 007. Getting an incident early in the race. He's able to recover back into a top 5. Lights are on the pace truck, so we'll go at least one more time around. See if Blake Chapman has anything for Griggs on the restart. Lights are off on the pace truck. Jack Clevenger looking for the green flag. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back underway on lap 33 of 40. All 3 of your top 3 go down to the bottom. The only car to the high side, that is Brandon Dittmer in the 83. Sam Bachman pulls up underneath the 83. No room to slide. Dittmer able to hold on to P4. Griggs up front. Chapman now trying the high side in 1 and 2. Followed by Clevenger. Let's go on board with Jack Clevenger and see how the 78 ride is running. Goes down to the bottom, as does Griggs and Chapman in 1 and 2. You can hear Clevenger in the cockpit working the throttle. Don't look now. Sam Bachman back, coming towards the front in the 007. Wants that final podium position. He's got to get by the 78 to make it happen. However, caution comes back out. Randy Shreve's involved in the 56. Looks like we tried to go 3 wide here. Shreve's on the inside of Moonen. The 4 car of Greg Parmalee slides in there, gets into the front of the 56. Then Moonen gets loose. No place for Shreves to go. Those 2 make contact. At the Brennan Lacey almost snuck by on the inside, couldn't quite do it. A little bit of contact. Front end of these cars are pretty sensitive, so it'll be interesting to see how many of these drivers come in for repairs. J-Train, we have the GT3's on the road course at Daytona coming up next. A little bit of a fish out of water, but we'll see how that plays out. So Chad Griggs has led all 36 laps. Pace truck is off. Go back green on lap 37 of 40. Watch Jack Clevenger and Sam Bachman. Sam Bachman wants that final podium. Good run on the outside by Dittmer in the 83. Greg Parmalee is there in the 4. Slide job by the 007 of Sam Bachman as your top 3 start to get away from the field a little bit. Now Clevenger pulls up to the inside of the 20, able to stay off the throttle, no contact made. Sam Bachman now with Dittmer in the 83. They're going to battle it out a little bit here in the closing laps. Lap 39 of 40 underway. Blake Chapman and Griggs pull away from Clevenger a little bit. Coming to the white flag. White flag is out. Griggs, Chapman, Clevenger, currently your podium drivers. Sam Bachman coming on the outside for that final podium in the FTM ride. Huge wreck. Chapman goes around. Griggs gets through. Bachman gets through. And Clevenger gets through. We'll get a word with your top 3 here momentarily. So Griggs, Bachman, Clevenger. They'll get the podium shot, and we will bring up your top 3 for a quick chat before we get into the Daytona road course. We'll get a word with Jack Clevenger as he comes into the booth. In the 78 ride, able to move up 11 positions. Jack, this is Joe. You got me?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Man, you moved up 11 positions through all that mess. What was the key? Was it a stay out of damage, or did you have a line that you found?
Both. I was rolling the bottom pretty good, putting around the bottom, and these kind of guys are blowing their tires off, getting out of the corners, and I'm just kind of driving, getting a good run into the corner, and then just staying out of trouble. I had a couple lucky times there where Isaac, and I don't know whoever was in front of him crashed there the last one, and I happened to drive right by him, luckily.
Yeah, man. Do you like UMPs?
I don't run them. I think the last time I ran them was last time C2C had a charity race at Volusia and UMP, so don't run them very often.
Yeah, man. So great run. Are you getting prepared for the real race season this year?
The guy that whose car I worked on last year, he's selling everything, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do this year. I might just hang out and enjoy life for a year.
Yeah, be a year off for you, man. Great run in the 78 ride. Who do you want to thank for your victory or your podium finish?
Just thank Keith and Gary and Greg and Devo for all his upbeat attitude. You know, he keeps us going. So, and thank you guys for the broadcast and Roger for putting the racing on.
Yeah, man, you're going to run GT3's?
I am. I've been practicing for 3 weeks so I can go spin out on the first lap.
Right on, man. We'll see you there.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, great run. The 007 of Sam Bachman, early incident on track. He's able to recover and bring the 007 home P2. Sam, it's Joe. You got me?
I gotcha.
Man, that how was a long race? How was the ride from the seat?
Oh, the car felt pretty good. After, I made my way back up there. I was really hoping me and Jack could have raced it out or whatever, but those cars wrecking in front of us is kind of a little unfortunate, but it was a good race overall. Car felt good and the track was good.
Yeah, man, we don't this is not an unfamiliar scene for the Got Your Six Racing Network, the 007 on a podium. Man, a stout run. Did you find a line that you liked? It seemed like people were moving around lines more in the UMPs than I have seen. Was that the case from the seat?
Oh, yeah, kind of. It seemed like the bottom in 1 and 2 was really hooked up, and then it was kind of a slider in 3 and 4. But it seemed like the last 5 laps or 2 laps or whatever, I tried the high side on both sides, and I actually felt like that was just a little bit faster. So I'm a little unfortunate I found it a little late, but it was a good race.
Yeah, man, great run by the 007. Who do you want to thank on that ride for a podium finish?
All the boys over at FTM, Gunner at Swan Speed Shop, Dean over at Super Dirt Car Series, X for installation, Joe, you for broadcasting, Coast to Coast, and that's it.
All right, man, you going to run the GT3s?
I might. I haven't decided.
All right, man, you need to get in there. We got to see you run again.
Alrighty, I'll think about it.
All right, man, good run.
Thank you.
Chad Griggs ends up winning his heat race, started at the front of the field, started P2 in this one, took the lead shortly thereafter and didn't look back. Chad, this is Joe. You got me?
Yes, I did.
Man, that's a good-looking ride in the 27. It seems like on the restarts, no one could even stay close to you. You would always go into turn one with at least a couple of cars gap between you and the car behind you. As the leader, seeing all the cautions coming out, man, did it concern you, or were you kind of just comfortable where you're running?
I was pretty comfortable. The cautions were just more frustrating than anything. It's so hard to pass. Like, you almost have to rely on somebody to make a mistake. So that's why, in my opinion, starting up front was pretty crucial.
Yeah, you didn't look back once you got there. You led every lap, I believe, man. A great run. Love the wrap on that ride. Another great run by the 27. Who do you want to thank for your drive to victory lane?
Thank Roger and everybody at Coast to Coast for putting this speed week on. It was kind of a late deal. I just decided on a whim late last night I was going to try to run as much of it as I can. But thank you for the broadcast as well. My team, Scott Thomason Racing, and most importantly, Josh Whiteman with Finish Line Race Designs, because he threw that wrap together on that car about 30 minutes before the race, and he also threw me one together for the GT3 race coming up.
Man, that's a good-looking car. Where are you from?
I'm from Jefferson City, Missouri.
Jefferson City. I was stationed in Missouri, so loved Missouri. Great run, man. Look forward to seeing you in the GT3s.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There are the opening races for the Stephen King Foundation charity event brought to you by the Coast to Coast Racing League. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have the GT3's on the road course at Daytona, a 1-hour race. So we'll be right back.
I'm Chris Jakimick, and I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. Throughout my military career, I spent the bulk of my career out in Las Vegas. It was the first job I had as I was protecting some sensitive resources out there at Nellis. I would deploy to Kuwait early on in my military career with a larger weaponry system to support Operation Southern Watch. And then from 2003 to 2006, I was part of the emerging drone mission for the United States Air Force and Department of Defense. We were fighting the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan from our backyard. You'd be in war for 12 hours of your shift, and then you'd drive home to your apartment here in Nevada. So psychologically, it was very odd. Like, you felt you were in the combat zone every day because you were seeing it on the screens and it was that important, but I don't know what it did to the human psyche at the time. Some things would kind of happen in my personal life after that would change a lot. When Adam joined the Marine Corps, it was a natural fit. Anybody who joins the military, especially after 9/11 happened, you're looking for that purpose. I think that's why he made the choice. It's like, let me go be a Marine. He was in between Fallujah and Ramadi during the heaviest parts of the fighting of the Iraq conflict. I mean, you hear guys like Jocko and everything talk about like the triangle of death. My brother was dead set in the middle of the triangle of death with a Marine unit. I think it changed him. Like, you look at everything across history, you read any of the books out there, war changes anybody that's been involved with it. Trauma or mass events like that changes anybody, and it really changed my brother. And I get that call. I get the text, actually, from my stepmom. I was like, I need you to call me as soon as possible. Something's wrong with Adam. All right. Didn't think anything of it. And I'm about to pull off the highway to go celebrate and have some pizza with my classmates, and she's like, Adam's dead. Adam's dead. He had died by suicide that day, 25th of July, 2017. And it changed my world forever.
I think that was the first time I saw or heard someone broken through the phone. There was a time where I was concerned that he wasn't going to make it. There were times I thought, we're going to have to camp out outside of his house, or we might get that phone call. Are we ready for that phone call?
I couldn't catch a break. A fellow first sergeant I served with, he had died by suicide. On the day of my buddy's funeral, I'm going through social media, and I see this, what appears to be a manifesto from one of my old airmen. My first thought was like, today's not going to be a good day. And sadly, my hunch was right. He had killed his own family and taken his own life on the day of my buddy's funeral. It was just compounding trauma after trauma after trauma. I cracked. I fell hard with alcohol. That was rock bottom. I've first heard about Mission 22 just by like surfing the internet and looking on there and seeing some of the programs that they had available. I was like, something seems right about this. To be in a program like the R&R program with them and the innovative things that they're putting together, I have not seen in any other veteran nonprofit. It's putting all this stuff together to heal in the most effective way possible. They're making you do a lot of the hard work through reading, through audiobooks, through physical fitness, through nutrition, open discussion, critical thinking, neuroplasticity and cognitive feedback to where you're developing the brain more. It's given me a chance to regain my life. Cycling's been a big part of my recovery. Is around the time I retired, a little over a year ago, I set forth, as like, let me set this goal to ride 2,020 miles in 2020 for another veteran nonprofit that supports Gold Star families and those lost either to accident or to suicide. Every time I got on that bike, I was like, you know what? There's a name, there's a dash that I'm gonna honor today. Not the dates on the gravestone. It's like, I'm gonna honor that life. So it gave me purpose. And it just became like a release for me to where the pedals would spin and I would get out of my head for a little bit. physically I was starting to feel better. I could see the improvements, and I've tracked my data over the past year, and it's phenomenal on the growth that I've had on a bike.
He's just on a mission and is relentless about it. You know, every day he pushes it. From, you know, the loss of his brother and a number of different trauma that he had gone through in his life, it was absolutely critical for him to find something that he could sink his teeth into. I think he's taken the ball and run with it with Mission 22, especially the R&R, the recovery and resilience part. I think it makes him stronger in the person that he is today.
I don't know why I fell on the bike. It was just like, okay, it called to me, and then I kept going. So you know that scene from Forrest Gump where he just starts running one day and it ends up in Monument Valley in Utah? He's like, I'm tired, I think I'll go home now. I'm not tired yet. I'm not ready to throw the towel in like Forrest Gump did. I'm getting on that bike and I'm keeping on going because there's something about it. There's something about just getting out in nature, having that breeze in your face and seeing some of the beautiful landscape here in Las Vegas where it takes you away from the stressors and the challenges of the world for a little bit. And you can just appreciate the beauty that is out there and be in the moment. And then it got serious because the Air Force enrolled me in the Air Force Wounded Warrior program and it got transformed into lo and behold training. If I do this well, maybe I can go represent the Air Force. Maybe my grief and everything in my entire story can come to fruition because I can put the energy into something positive. If I made the team, I'd just be overwhelmed with emotion. I suffered a lot of my trauma because of my military service. But at the end, it's like, I gotta be grateful that I'm allowed to compete in this because there are others who didn't make it home or lost the war at home that's what it's about.
Oh my gosh, everybody! I am so excited. My heart's pumping, my hands are sweaty. Please welcome our very own director of the Air Force Wounded Warrior Program, Colonel Rich Obert. Over to you, sir.
Welcome, warriors and athletes. Today we're going to announce the 2021 Air Force Team for Warrior Games. The selection was difficult as there were many hardworking and deserving individuals, and the work and dedication was apparent by all. I know the suspense is killing you, so I'll turn it back over to Marcia. Good luck to each of you. Back to you, Marcia.
All right, thank you, sir. Starting us out from Air Education and Training Command, Major Daniel, Lieutenant Dan Cariña. Yes, yes, yes. Air Combat Command, out of Texas, Master Sergeant Nicole Nikki Favuza. From Valdosta, Georgia, Technical Sergeant retired Antonio Del Vecchio. From East Liberty, Ohio, Airman retired Pete Murphy. Technical Sergeant retired Margie Hinkle. And coming up next, former pole vaulter, that is very similar to Blaze Velarde, coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada, Master Sergeant retired Chris Jack Jackamek. Warrior Games competitor back on the team, Staff Sergeant retired Joseph Alex Pate.
Whew.
What? He did
All right.
big things back in the day. He's gonna do big things. Coming to you from St. Henry.
Wow. We look at Mission 22 and we see all the shirts, we see all the flags out there. I don't think enough of the people understand how big the programs actually are and how that is actually in there. And like, I'm a benefactor from the donations of these private donors that are there to allow me to live life, to improve life for not only myself, but for friends, for fellow veterans, for my children, for my girlfriend, for my family, is to be that, to say, you know what? We can keep going at the end of the day. We can keep going no matter how hard it gets. no matter how difficult life becomes, we can keep going.
We have this this value in the Air Force, this belief, a wingman concept. We're gonna take care of each other. We've got each other, and it gives us hope, right? And so if you have been knocked down, I say this a lot, by the baseball bat of life, right? You're on the ground. If you know that someone's got you, it's got your six, no matter what, that's gonna help you get back up again. And that's part of Mission 22, I think, for him. That connection, that human connection, that's what's gonna save us. Yeah, that's what saved him. He can be a light in darkness. No matter how dark that spiral is, to know that someone got back up again and navigated their way out, that they can get through it too, that they are not alone. Not for one moment of one day. That's what he could be. He could be a beacon of light.
My name's Nick Powers, and I'm the president and lead instructor of Warfighter Scuba. I'm a veteran of the United States Marine Corps from the years 2003 to 2007, with one combat deployment to Haditha, Iraq in 2006. Throughout my time overseas, I experienced a lot of situations that you wouldn't necessarily find yourself in the United States. IEDs, getting shot at, rocket attacks, mortar attacks, you name it, it happened. When I got out of the Marine Corps in 2007, I tried to adjust back to civilian life, and the whole time you're in, you just can't wait to get out. And when you get out, you start to realize, did you make the right decision? 9 times out of 10, most of the guys that get out, they immediately plummet into a depression cycle, because you don't have that structure anymore that the military provides you. And this hit me super hard. We moved to one of the #1 top dive destinations in the entire world, and I figured I'd start getting back into scuba diving. And after our first couple dives, I realized how peaceful it was underwater and how none of my problems followed me. You're just there in the present moment. I had the idea for Warfighter Scuba, and I kind of hinted at it, and they said, "You go for it." And that's basically how Warfighter Scuba was born. So Warfighter Scuba is a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 nonprofit with the IRS. We bring combat wounded veterans down to the Caribbean to teach them scuba diving to treat their wounds. Whether their wounds are physical or mental, such as PTSD, scuba diving is a extremely therapeutic activity for mental stressors and for physical ailments. Mentally, as soon as you go underwater, your body just reacts. It's not normal. You're not meant to breathe underwater. Automatically puts you into the present moment. You have nothing but peace and calm. This ability to separate yourself from reality really allows veterans to find out what their trigger mechanism might be for their particular mental stressors. So every veteran who comes through our programs gets a 100% funded trip. Each veteran also receives a round-trip ticket from their home of record. That ticket will bring them straight into Roatan, and their entire week stay, their hotel, their meals, their snacks, everything's paid for. And so that veteran can get an entire week away from reality and completely separate from any kind of problems they might be facing at home. So each veteran receives very private and intimate training sessions when they come down to Roatan. We first start in the pool. We do some confined water skills. We'll then switch out to the open water dives. From that point on, it's not even training anymore. It's just fun. It's learning on a level that I don't think most people have experienced before. We do all the certifications for them that we can in a week at their pace, from open water to full face mask to nitrox. Every trip that we have whether it's one veteran or 4 veterans at a time. We just have a blast. You know, there's no bad karma. We've seen sharks, we've seen turtles. I mean, we've seen 4 eagle rays at once. I mean, just the things that happen when we're in the water together are truly, they're just unbelievable. The dedication that these vets have now to scuba diving and to wanting to come back and to help other veterans experience what they've experienced, it hits me in the heart more than most things have ever hit me in my heart. It's truly an honor to take, you know, these heroes into the water. It's really cool to see the transformation that happens to them, you know, from being, oh my gosh, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. You know, I've gone snorkeling a few times, or, you know, I'm not that good of a swimmer. And the funny thing about scuba is none of that matters. You know, you're completely weightless in the water. You could come down and have 0 experience in the water and be one of the better scuba divers out there. So as with all nonprofits, we rely solely on generous donors such as yourselves. None of these programs could exist without people who are willing to give some of their hard-earned money up to save veterans who might be struggling with everyday life and have that unfortunate thought of suicide. 100% of every dollar that's donated goes directly to the veterans. I personally, myself, I do not take any kind of money. All my time is donated. There's no salary to anybody who's on the board or any staff positions in Warfighter. Donations can be made on our website at www.warfighterscuba.org. And remember, every donation is 100% tax deductible.
The goal at any given race is, of course, to win. And CrowdStrike, AWS, and DXDT were fortunate to achieve championship-winning results in 2020. We're extremely proud to be partnering with Operation Motorsport through our racing initiatives. Their program seeks to place military veterans in various positions inside a real racing team. The experience aids in their retraining, recovery, and rehabilitation.
So my name is Chad Failing. I'm a staff sergeant retired out of the United States Army. I am with Kevin Boehm under DXDT. You're getting creative. You're getting taught to think outside of the box.
We couldn't be more proud to be affiliated with this great program. In the spirit of giving back to the community and creating meaningful opportunities, we are committed to building a diverse motorsports platform with the amazing men and women who have served our country.
History repeats itself. History is always happening over and over again. So one of the ways to stop a theme, one of the ways to stop something from reoccurring is to first of all admit it. It didn't take long for us to quickly realize that there was power behind Mission 22, power behind its brand, power behind its message, and power behind its people that represented it.
All right, my friends, day 19 of 22, the 22-day push-up challenge. Day 19 means 418 men and women have possibly committed suicide in the last 19 days. I went and looked up my ship, the USS Rushmore. More people who have killed themselves by now than ever served on our ship at one time in just 19 days.
19, 20, 21. One more. Y'all ready for the last one?
Yeah, Mission 22 has become a decentralized nationwide effort to show love, to raise money, to be available for other warriors, to be able to be a point of contact, to let the warriors know, but also for warriors to let other warriors know that there is a community. You're not alone. This isn't happening in silence. You're not forgotten. You know, we brought 4 veterans from all different parts of the United States and brought them together to hike through the state of Oregon.
May God bless you on your journey. Thank you for serving our country and for being willing to go on this walk. I'm praying you feel peace and strength with each mile.
You know, on this hike, Some folks found God, some folks remained sober, some folks lost a significant amount of weight to be able to participate. And not so much just a healing walk for us as warriors, but for us to contribute to other people's healing. You know, this hike, we raised $12,000 for endobiogeny. Some of the folks on this hike, you know, they're going to be volunteers for this treatment. And I couldn't be more pleased and more proud, because it was difficult. We had a lot of struggles. Not everything on this hike went pretty, you know, but we put some skin in the game. At the end of the day, we were able to raise money, and we'll be able to use that money so guys can get the treatment that they need. The War at Home Monument is an example of our social impact, of our awareness, of our permanent fixture to do the work that we can't always do, to always remind us of what we've lost and what we will lose if we don't reconcile it. What we've done is taken 20 different veterans with their families' permission and used them as a silhouette to cut out a 3,000-pound plate of steel. These warriors are placed in a V, and this is to show the size of the problem. This is to show the empty space they leave behind. And it's also to be a constant reminder of what happens when we don't listen to the stories of the warriors that fought in our name. Because it's not okay. It's not okay that everyone didn't know about veteran suicide. It's not okay that these things were a secret or left unsaid, or that it was shameful. It's not okay that it's shameful to suffer alone and suffer in silence, because if you ask for help, that you're no longer a warrior, that you're weak.
Yeah. So I come back and I thought everybody else changed. So I pushed my family away. And it took a long time to really realize it, because I didn't want to look internally. You know, I got my Class A CDL and hit the road. I was on the road for about 8 years trucking. And this makes me think about how insignificant all of the major things going on are. I mean, what, 1 million years ago, that blew up. And, you know, over time became this.
Whether it's hiking mountains or building monuments, it takes a community to heal a warrior. Warriors didn't get damaged and didn't become separated from the sunlight of the spirit on their own. It happened in the name of this nation. We can change the way we think about war, how we think about warriors, how we think about ourselves, and what we think we're going to do in the American community. We can do it now. We can do it here. And there's going to be another generation of warriors coming. We can set the tone to create a culture that grabs them up and loves them and smothers them in resources, in opportunity, right now.
Yes, that's why. So we'll just give them a quick brush, and then we'll get our stuff on, and then we have like an obstacle course. And so
Why I'm smiling.
you don't know why you're smiling. We always smile. Smiling's the best.
The Mission 22 Equine Program is a riding program for children of veterans. We also serve grandchildren or direct family members of veterans.
It's a lot of fun, and I've always loved horses. So.
We have private lessons and group lessons, but it's not just riding. You know, riding lessons, people just think that that's all it is. But we have the opportunity here to really build confidence, to lower stress levels, to give them an outlet and opportunity to spend time doing something healthy and productive. Mission 22 is really based on the foundation of the importance for family. It's why we're supporting families here. So in a time where kids' programs are being canceled left and right, school is shut down, they're not able to be around their friends, you know, being able to have an opportunity where they can just be together and let go of that stress and be around people. Again, honestly, it's just really that simple, being around people. You know, who would have thought that it was something as simple as that?
That's okay. You want to grab his reins, and then I'll have you walk him forward. It's really a special thing to watch these kids come every week and build a partnership and a relationship with their horse. It lets them forget about everything that's going on in life, being able to come here, kind of shut the world out a little bit, and have a really stress-free, fun environment.
There's tons of studies that have been done on lowering of cortisol levels of children, and especially with children of veterans, often growing up in a household that can be a more stressful place, to be able to have an outlet where they can be outside, fresh air, horses around them, and just growing in that confidence.
Horses are really unique. They're very intuitive to people. They're very emotionally intelligent, they're very emotional animals, very in tune to people. They have a great way of reading people as well. They can pick up on if you're feeling nervous or scared or excited. They're very reflective to how you feel. And so it's a great way to kind of check in with yourself and see how you're feeling because they'll let you know.
When you're riding bareback, it's really important to think about keeping your thighs nice and snug.
Watch your spacing. Remember 1 to 2 horse lengths in between. Nice work. Yep, then you're gonna go through the blue barrels and you can weave through them and you can walk through them.
Before we came to Central Oregon, we were based out of Portland. So we were renting an office in the city, we were having to pay to board horses, and it was getting to be exceptionally expensive. And so what it came down to was an opportunity to have a facility that we can grow programs out, that we could have the equine program on our own property that we can continue to operate during a time that nobody really knew kind of what was happening next. And so having our own facility gave us the freedom to continue serving the families that we care about.
It's so fun to see parents come and talk to each other and being able to kind of share stories, watch their kids together is a really neat thing, talk about just life in general, having a place to come and to really connect with people. Obstacles.
I really like riding the horse because it's the best thing ever and it's so exciting.
By supporting families of veterans on this property through the equine program, it really gives us the opportunity to show that importance. So we're not just supporting their kids, but we're supporting their families. They're having a community here, and building that strong family foundation builds a strong veteran. And that is something that we very much believe in, is supporting the family, supporting the veteran, and that cohesiveness together.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is new. We got the GT3's out on the course. Keith Jackson in the 113, top of the board so far. We have advanced. My good friend Roger Craig is with me, going to help me out, bail me out tonight. Roger, welcome to the show. Looking forward to this. What can we look forward to? You do a little bit of road racing, don't you?
Yeah, just enough to know that I should be in the booth. So, this is going to be a challenge for both of us, I think, but we're going to do our best here, buddy.
Yeah, I was telling Roger during the break, I went to download this race. I didn't own a GT3 car, nor have I done any asphalt or road course updates ever. So that's what we did over the break. We did a bunch of updates and got ready to go. As the cars come out on the track, Cale Bixler is out on track. Chad Griggs back with us after his win. Corey Schartzer is with us. Greg Offit in the 94 coming out on track. Roger, what's the strategy in a road race? What is it? Just keep the car clean? Are you racing, or are you just biding your time?
That's a great question. I would like keep the car on the track. That's number one. What I have found in road racing is, unless you're one of the top dogs, you're racing yourself. You're just trying to turn better laps, consistent laps, because there can be massive gaps and stuff, in the between first and 15th or 20th. So you might just be going around the track on your own. So it's just trying to turn good, consistent laps and be steady.
And you just did the 24-hour. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we did 24. The Salty Dogs did it 24 hours, and we finished. The guys would know. We finished, I think, 30th or something, and maybe 14th or 15th in our class. We didn't burn any houses down, but we didn't destroy anybody either. We were. It was great. We had, in fact, my granddaughter raced with us. She had never raced before. She had been down at Christmas, got on the rig. She's in love with Lando Norris, so she's a big F1 fan. And I put her in the GT3, and then I just said casually, "You should come down. We're going to run this race," because she was turning good laps. So yeah, she ended up coming down and staying here for the weekend, and she lives about 2 hours away, and she was doing so well that I didn't run anymore. I stopped running because she was running better than me after only 3 sessions.
So the Salty Dogs, that's a bunch of old dudes, right? So how long did you drive each driver? How many did you have?
We had, geez, I'm trying to remember now. We had 6 or 8 drivers. I think we had 8 drivers. We had 2 spotters. Bill Calder, I think, you know, he set some sort of record. He spotted for us like for, I don't know, about 12 hours straight, right through the night and everything else. Just incredible. And I'm trying to remember, we had another dedicated spotter. But yeah, there was about 8 drivers, and we just split it up. We were lucky we had a few guys that were out west. Jim Bowie, you know, Jim's 81, and his nephew, who's, you know, he's 40 or 50. But they ran some of the late hours and the early hours, so it worked out quite well.
That's insane. So I'm getting ready to run with you guys into retreads, and I think Bill was telling me we're running some I don't even know what car, some Indy car, something. And I thought,
yeah, buddy.
oh, good Lord.
Prepare yourself, man. Those cars are so fast, and with old man reflexes, it makes for some interesting racing. But we've been getting great turnouts for our retreads division, the 55 and over. We're getting 17, 18 car counts, you know, for all these old guys. So it's been good. And with the asphalt now, we just put a new rule in where we turn damage off. So as long as you can survive the crash, your car heals, and you can keep on going, which is great for us old guys.
Yeah, so for those, speaking of that, for those that don't know, we got some Friday Night Lights folks tuned in. What is C2C all about?
Coast to Coast Racing League. We've been in existence now. I think we're in our 20th season, so over 5 years. The thing we're proudest of is the fact that we've raised over $40,000 US for various charities. About half of that being for our veterans in Canada and the US. So that's the biggest thing. It's just these charity events we're having. This one now for the Steve King Foundation, which I think we've raised, well over $10,000 for the Steve King Foundation. And we've seen the work that's provided, like with some of the injured drivers, etc. So it's very rewarding.
Yeah, and you race 6 days a week. Is that accurate?
Actually, 5 days a week. 6 if we count Friday Night Lights, which you know, you're kind of a brother league to us. So we're partnered up, and so Friday night's your night. We run Sunday to Thursday, and get Saturdays off for everybody. But we run 17 divisions, I think it is, and we broadcast about 10 of those. So everybody's welcome to come out, and it's a great time.
So there is an iRating limit for those of you out there tuning in. What is the iRacing limit?
Yeah, that's a good point, Joe. We have a limit of 3,000. So our goal is to be the best intermediate league on the iRacing platform. What we find is that the better drivers have lots of leagues they can run all over. This gives the intermediate guy a chance to be competitive. Now, once you're in the league, you're grandfathered in. So we do have guys that are like 5,000, 6,000, but we like to think that their, you know, iRating improved because of the competition that they experience in our league.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I was telling on the broadcast, this is the first real league that I ever joined, and it's just a great group of guys. There's always chatter going on about not only racing, but life stuff. It's kind of a community more than a racing league, and I have enjoyed it. And we would not have a Friday Night Lights if it was not for the Coast to Coast Racing League and the help that you have provided me over the years. Went from race control, whatever my position was back then, and with your encouragement, man, we created Friday Night Lights, and it's no looking back since then. So greatly appreciate that, and a big fan of the Coast to Coast Racing League, which I'm about to jump back in here. I don't know this season, probably this season. Got some sim rig upgrades that we're doing. took the seat out of my dwarf car when I sold it. That's going in the sim rig, and got all kinds of stuff going on.
Oh, so you sold the dwarf car? Both?
It's gone out the door. No, the other one's still in the garage, but the guy's supposed to come pick it up. We'll see how that plays out.
Well, that's kind of sad, but
well,
it's kind of interesting to follow your career there, buddy.
I got to tell you, the sim rig, man, it is. We talk about real racing and sim rig racing. How close is it? And it's similar, but as if you watched us, we always ran with sprint cars. Those things cut ruts that are. I bought them out in a dwarf car, and you're going 70, 80 miles an hour into a corner, and man, I fractured my back when I was in the military, and I went to the doctor, and he said, "You're done. Don't get back in a car." Well, actually, I'm taking up all the time. Let's look at the board real quick. A familiar face at the top of the board, Isaac Salas, with a 1 minute 46 seconds, 46.2 seconds. Brandon Dittmer in P2, Jack Clevenger in P3, Corey Schartzer in 4, Greg Boydell in P5 in the 014. Keith Jackson out on track, 147.13 on his, I don't even know. Where do we go? 10 minutes. Is that correct, Roger?
10 minutes and it's their best lap. So that's what it's showing there. And I don't know if he's watching the broadcast or not, but I want to give a big shout out to Jeff Barker. This division would not be here if it wasn't for Jeff. The sad thing is, well, good for him. He's out snowmobiling somewhere. But the night that we get the great car count, he's not here. It's too bad. So a shout out to Jeff, anyways, for everything he does for the league, and especially for the
Yeah, it looks like 21 cars showed up. Brian Lawson is back with us, the Venom Racing driver. Good-looking wrap. Brian used to do a lot of wraps. I'm not sure if he does anymore. He did quite a few for me back in the day. But the 9 car for Venom Racing out 12th quick, 148.86 for Brian Lawson. Keith Jackson moves Isaac Salas off the top of the board, 144.89 for the 113 car. Isaac Salas comes back out of the pits. He wants to capture that lead back. I forgot about that, Roger. You can go in the pits, come back out. You got 10 minutes to do whatever the heck you want to do, I guess.
Yeah, and looks like we got about 2.5 minutes left. That's qualifying.
So Keith Jackson at the top of the board. The 5-car North Dakota driver Isaac Salas back on course. He's got Venom on side of that ride, I believe. Kel Bixler currently 8th with a 147.24. So I want to revisit. So the wife went to that doctor's visit after we went, I think it was after the World of Outlaws race. And I could barely move. So the doctor said, you can't race anymore. Don't race. I recommend. So I took that, Roger. I've been married for 38 years. So I had to lay the groundwork. I started looking at sprint cars, and my wife said, "You can't race." And I said, "I'm not going to race. I'm going to go to play days, and I'm going to maybe run some hot laps. That's it." And so we'll see what the outcome of that conversation is. I kind of have a feeling what it's going to be, but
Well, I'm pulling for your wife on that one, but because I don't think it's going to get any better in the seat for that.
it's not racing. It's not racing. Barry Goldner out on track in the 36, 151.91, good enough for 16th quick. Greg Boydell moves up to 6th quick in the 014, 147 even for Boydell, 6th quick. How many of these guys, Roger, have road course experience?
I was looking at a list. I think most of them do, so that's good. There's quite a few that aren't regulars, but I know one of the teams, SRC, they've been practicing for 3 weeks for this race. So I'm looking forward to a real interesting race.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, I'll do my best to find where the camera needs to be pointed. Roger is my guide, so we'll make it through. We only have 1 car left out on the track. That is Barry Goldner in the 36 Mustang, looks like. 151.91, currently 16th.
Catmobile.
The Catmobile, absolutely. We have 3 cars that have not taken time. Greg Parmalee, Roger Craig is not in the race, and Brennan Lacey. So it looks like we have wrapped it up with 30 seconds to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a fan and a watcher just like you. The only problem is I have control. So we'll see how this goes. Roger, again, thanks for jumping up in the booth. Steer me along the way.
So the interesting thing, Joe, is we've got the 8-time multiplier on, which means time goes 8 times faster. So we're going to be racing into the dark here. I think a lot of it's going to be in the dark. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
Let's take a look at the grid. We got on the front row, it is Keith Jackson with your quick time. Isaac Salas was not able to make up that difference. Brandon Dittmer on the inside of row number 2. Jack Clevenger on the outside. Row 3, Corey Schartzer and Greg Boydell. Colin Johnson and Cale Bixler are in row number 4. Donovan Ross, Brandon Templeton in row number 5. Kyle Moonen, Brian Lawson in row number 6. Chad Griggs, Stephen Goldner in row 7. Stephen Bixler, Barry Goldner in row number 8. Gary Offit, Jason Butterfield in row number 9. Brennan Lacey, it looks like Brennan Lacey in the 414 will be the last car on the grid, as Roger Craig and Greg Parmalee are not in the race. So, my friend, here we go.
Yes, and just a note, I think it was Jack Clevenger asked for an EOL, so he wants to take it easy and not cause any issues, I would think.
So Roger Craig admitting and up in the booth keeping me company, make sure I don't go off the rails here. I think the great thing, Roger, is being out here with these guys. A lot of familiar names. A lot of the Coast to Coast Racing League guys run on Friday Night Lights. Matter of fact, Isaac Salas just won the championship in the 358 Modifieds, I believe. But a lot of familiar names.
Took home a big bag of money, too, I thought. So, yeah, we share a lot of the drivers. I think guys enjoy both leagues. Yeah, it's good to see them up with you and with us.
Yeah, speaking of the money, we haven't had our end of season podcast yet with the Dirt Track Bank guys. That is the last time. I think there was a wise old man who once told me, anytime you enter money into the equation, it gets more complicated. And I got to tell you, Roger, as you and I talked, I was done. I was absolutely done. I'm not going to do it again. Money really complicated things this year. It is. 100% agree. So Keith Jackson, pace truck is off. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 hour of racing. Green flag is out. We are underway. Keith Jackson, Isaac Salas, Brandon Dittmer, Greg Boydell in the Bass Pro Shop ride. Cale Bixler.
And a big shout out to Cale Bixler. He is active military. He's in the Army and stationed in Mississippi right now. He was in Germany for a few years, and now in Mississippi can race with us a lot more, so it's great to see Cale.
Yeah, that's awesome, actually. Colin Johnson in the top 10, holding down P7. Brandon Templeton, P8. Brian Lawson, Kyle Moonen, your top 10.
Okay, I'm going to just cut in here, Joe, and we should have done this before the race, but I need you to pick a winner.
You know what? I got to go with my guy. I got to go with Brandon Templeton in that 31. Where's he at? Brandon Templeton in the Dirt Track Bank number 31. Who do you got, Roger?
I'm not sure. I might go with, because I know the SRC guys have been practicing, I'm going to go with Keith Jackson.
Keith Jackson currently with Isaac Salas, who would have probably been my second pick. Some guys just have a knack for getting in anything and being able to navigate. And I think as the night goes on, Keith Jackson, Isaac Salas, you can just pick out throughout the field. Brandon Templeton will get used to it. Dittmer.
The sleeper here could be Colin Johnson. Colin's
As you can
big,
see,
asphalt guy.
Roger, you said the time is times 8, right? So the headlights are on. We are in the dark at Daytona.
Yeah, so that would, 1 hour race, it's going to convert to 8 hours. So I'm not sure we'll get into the morning, dawn. It might end in the dark.
Yeah, Keith Jackson goes wide. Isaac Salas now takes over the lead as Jackson goes off the course. Brandon Dittmer in P3. Corey Schartzer. Go back to the most exciting. That is Cale Bixler in the 789. Brandon Templeton, Brian Lawson. Kind of spread out throughout the field. And Roger, do you just ride, or do you take passes when they come?
There's about 3 or 4 spots on the track that is best to pass. Especially, I'm watching Dittmer right now. They're coming out of the S turns in the infield, coming around the back of the track, going towards what we call a bus stop, that chicane. That's a good place to pass.
Brandon
and then,
Dittmer.
of course, out of the chicane and going down the front straight is another place to pass.
Looks like Steve Goldner has moved up 3 positions. That is the biggest mover at the moment in the 30 car.
And Cale just went off the course in the bus stop. Bus stop can be really tough, especially we're in a few laps now, but when those tires are cold, boy, you'd have a hard time getting rotating the turns.
I may have to do this.
They are a fun car. You have to get with us. We're talking about doing Sebring, the 12 hours of Sebring. And you're the right age for our team, buddy.
This is the first time that 58 has been considered the right age. Anything other than a discount for senior citizens. That's the right age for that, for sure.
Well, no, you're a kid in that. We got Jim Bowie, he's 81.
Yeah, that's
Somebody's
insane.
off track there. I just picked up I'm not sure who it was.
Got Kyle Moonen went off the track. Came back on the track. Let's tune in with Kyle Moonen running back in 16th place.
Now, there's another guy, if he gets a handle on these cars, he will be fast. Some guys just fast in everything they drive.
My board shows Brennan Lacey crashed. Don't know how accurate my board is, Roger. We're a low-budget operation.
I'm showing Salas in the lead right now with Jackson second behind him, followed by Dittmer.
Salas, Jackson, Dittmer, Corey Schartzer, and Greg Boydell are your top 5. From Boydell on back is a pretty far distance to Colin Johnson, currently in P6 in the 13 machine. Brandon Templeton, P7. Brian Lawson has moved up 4 in P8.
Now,
Steve Goldner.
Greg Boydell, you mentioned Boydell. Boydell's a regular with these cars. There's another guy to watch for. He'll be there at the end.
Greg Boydell, driver out of Canada. Good mix of Canada and the U.S. Where is Cale Bixler from?
Cale is originally from Clarence, Iowa, the hotbed of iRacing for our league. His dad is out there, Steve Bixler. Very cool. They run together. So Steve, of course, is the mayor of Clarence, Iowa. And Blake Chapman is from Clarence, Iowa. And Steve Maurer, who isn't racing but made a significant donation to the event. He's on a Disney cruise with his grandkid.
I'm showing Cale Bixler with a light blue flag with white writing, but I can't tell what it is. That is the only non-U.S. Canadian flag that shows on my board. Oh, somebody around. Chad Griggs.
That was Chad Griggs, yeah.
Let's take a look and see what happened to Chad. He's not having as good of a run as he pretty much owned. And I'm not going to make myself sound too bad. I'll just call it corner 137 as the 27 car gets in there a little bit hot, possibly starts to go around. How long till the tires start wearing, Roger, where they get pretty slick?
Yeah, I'm just watching them go around too. That's a tough corner, and yeah, you can go in there too hot for sure. But typically tires will probably last. They'll last this session. When we were running the 24 hours, we would do 1 hour sessions. That would be time for like full fuel, and the tires. We could go two pit stops without changing tires, so they'll have plenty of tire.
Keith Jackson closes in on Isaac Salas, makes the pass. Salas gets a little bit loose going in. And I don't know who that was that just went around. Brennan Lacey went around in front of Boydell. Salas trying to gather the 5 car back up and make a run. Keith Jackson now on the point. Gary Offit with an incident and has taken it to pit lane. Trying to get a repair on his ride.
Looks like a Brendan Lacey who can be really fast, but he's got 15 incidents, so I would think he's went off track quite a bit, just going in a little too hot. They got 40 incidents here, so he's still well within range.
Looking for Brendan Lacey. So now my eyes match that qualification to join you anymore. I gotta.
Well, that and your bad back, you know, they're qualifiers for the retreads.
Isaac Salas starting to put some pressure on Keith Jackson. Goes up high. Salas tucks in underneath. Isaac Salas back to the point. Keith Jackson not letting that 5 car. Let's go on board with Keith Jackson as he tries to get underneath that 5 car, racing awful hard with, we're only at 10 minutes, so we have 50 minutes to go. You can do a lot of damage to a car, Roger, and you're not going to be there in the end.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, who is that Jackson's racing against?
Isaac Salas at the front.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
Corey Schartzer running a comfortable 4th all by himself. Olin Johnson in 5th. Top 5, Salas, Jackson, Dittmer, Schartzer, Johnson. Greg Boydell in P6. Brian Lawson, P7. Brandon Templeton, P8. Jack Clevenger, 9. Stephen Goldner in P10.
I think the other, I might have mentioned it, but I think these guys are on 50% fuel, so they will need 1, possibly 2 pit stops.
So that'll be time that I need you to, I don't know about these pit stop business, so that'll be time where it'll get kind of exciting. Pit strategy come into play in a race like this?
You know, what happens, I know with us old guys anyways, is we forget to turn the tires off, so you end up pulling in the pits for fuel, and all of a sudden your car's getting jacked up for tires, and you get that sinking feeling because you know you're losing time. The other thing to watch for too is if guys come in too hot into the pits, into their pit stall, and they overrun it, now you got to put it in reverse and back up, so that's another killer.
Yeah, you're gonna have to school me here before we get into, but the retreads, is it all Daytona and Talladega oval?
So it's yeah, and we race 1 week we race the Indy cars, and the other week we run pickup, and then the dirt we run at Volusia and Aurora, I think it is. We run alternate two dirt tracks, and same thing there, where 1 week it's 358 dirt modified, and the next week 350 wing 350.
So do you think most of these guys change their steering wheel? I've seen a bunch of different versions of steering wheels, and does a regular oval steering wheel work just as good?
It worked just as bad for me, but you know, some of the guys with the few extra bucks, yeah, do have a Formula One or a GT3.
Speaking of pits, we got somebody coming in. Brendan Lacey came in and left. So we already have pit stops underway. Don't know if that's for contact or if this is strategy.
Ray Jackson and Isaac are just going at it. It's awesome racing in the front.
Yeah, and they got a pretty good gap between themselves. About a 4-second gap between second and third, which is Brandon Dittmer. Greg Boydell came back on track after a little excursion off the track. Still running in P6 after his journey into the grass. Barry Goldner in pit lane. Jack Clevenger just passed Brian Lawson. So Clevenger moving up, back up. Fell back, and now he's starting to move back through the field. Brian Lawson up 4 positions, currently in P8. Stephen Goldner up 5 in P9.
You know, the way Isaac and Jackson are going at it, their pit stops could be critical for end result of this race.
Does drafting come into play in saving fuel?
It does come into play. If you want to pass a guy, like you can pick up some speed, go down the straightaway, and then you can pass him. So there's a bit of drafting, not like the pickup, but there is drafting. And these are fixed setups, by the way.
So C2C run, for those out there that are interested, they run fix and open setups. What is the mixture?
So we only have 2 open divisions. That's on Monday nights. Our 360s and our 358s on Monday are open setup. Everything else in the league is fixed.
You're seeing Isaac Salas and Keith Jackson getting into some lap traffic now. Everybody moving over, being pretty courteous. Not sure that's going to be the case later on in the race as they're getting by Brandon Templeton coming out of the pits. Brian Lawson.
I think that's Lacey behind him that they just passed.
Keith Jackson able to get back by Isaac Salas, so the front 2 are swapping back and forth as they went through lap traffic. Keith Jackson able to navigate it a little better than Isaac Salas. Salas will move back to P2. Brandon Dittmer still a comfortable 3rd. Corey Schartzer, Greg Boydell still in the top 5.
So this week with Speedweeks, what we have is we're calling this the Rolex $24. It's not 24 hours, but it's normally all the other races will pay $15, $10, and $5 for first, second, third. This race, first place will be $24. And then there's also top dirt category, top asphalt category, and an overall. So dirt and the asphalt are $50 for the winner, and the overall is $100. And you'll get those people along with that.
Awesome. So talk about Speedweeks, Roger, now that you're speaking of all the things going on all week.
So we run a charity every season, all 4 seasons, and we were having trouble finding something that would stick for the winter season, and then we came up last season with the Speed Week concept, and it proved to be pretty popular. So what we do is, and all money raised is for the Steve King Foundation, which benefits drivers and their crews, etc., who are injured or suffering serious health problems. So for the dirt side of this, there are 6 races. We count. You have 2 drops. We take your best 4, and there's 4 asphalt races, and we'll take your best 3 of those. So same with the overall. We'll take your best 7 of the 10 races.
So what if somebody wants to donate and possibly not run? Is there a place they can do that?
Yeah, they could go to, easiest would be go to our website, C2CRL.com, and there you'll see the PayPal link, and they can just make a donation through PayPal, and 100% of registration and any proceeds that are sent goes to the Steve King Foundation. We're very fortunate. Extreme E-Speed TV, that's Andy Piercefield, basically has covered all the expenses for running this event. So very generous, great guy, and it allows us then to, the 100% of everything raised goes to the foundation.
Yeah, that's amazing. They've always been a huge player in Coast to Coast Racing League. What a great dude.
Yeah, and the sad part is he's so busy with work these days that he doesn't race very often, which is really sad. He still supports the league, but doesn't get out very often. So we're hoping things will slow down for him, I think, in the next little while, and hopefully he's going to get out a little bit more. Great guy to race with, and just a great guy overall.
Following along with Chad Griggs, currently in 12th position. Looks like Steve Bixler went off track for a little journey. Brendan Lacey had an incident. Let's check out Brendan Lacey if I can find him.
Whoa. Jackson just lost it in the cane, so he's
getting back up to speed. Looks like he's got some lap traffic right behind him, Roger. Brandon Dittmer in the 83 gets by. That's a new in the top 2. Now Brandon Dittmer will be P2. Isaac Salas still at the front of the field by over 4.5 seconds in the Venom number 5. Take a look inside the car here with Isaac Salas. Isaac Salas, Brandon Dittmer, Keith Jackson now in the top 3. Corey Schartzer, Greg Boydell are your top 5. Corey Schartzer went off track, came back on track in P4. Looks like that ride is okay. Number 6, Machine. This is the most exciting battle on the field. That is Keith Jackson trying to get back up to the 83 car as Dittmer did. Dittmer.
Yeah, he just shows out.
I don't see where there's Brandon Dittmer.
You find Mike?
No, he disappeared from the screen, so maybe having some computer issues. Keith Jackson back up to P2 to see if he can track down Isaac Salas with over a 5-second lead over Keith Jackson, Corey Schartzer, Greg Boydell, Colin Johnson. Kel Bixler back in 10th. Jack Clevenger currently in P6. That is the most exciting battle on the track. That is Jack Clevenger and Brian Lawson. No, Clevenger's battling lap traffic here. As he is able to get by.
Got, looks like everybody past B12 is down at least a lap.
Steve Bixler is, let's see, Brandon Dittmer, the last car on the lead lap, but I'm actually not even seeing him. Isaac Salas still at the front of the field. Keith Jackson able to close the gap. It was over 5 seconds, down to 4.7. So Keith Jackson starting to reel in your leader, Isaac Salas. '24 car of Kyle Moonen. Still in P10.
Pretty good battle between Goldner and Stephen Goldner and Gail Bixler.
As the 30 car comes up. Jack Clevenger. There's Bixler again. Currently, Bixler and Goldner battling it out.
And Moon is right on their tail, too.
Oh, Moonen got sideways around. He saves it.
What a save. What a save.
Moonen went off track, comes back on, is able to save it, gather it back up. That's where a little bit of dirt racing comes in handy, I think.
I agree. I think it does when you start to lose it. A lot of these guys. Thought that when we first went to the NASCAR trucks and cars, etc., that there was a lot of accidents because they were third car drivers, but there's a lot of unbelievable recoveries because of their the third car drivers.
Isaac Salas' lead is down back up to 5 seconds. So Isaac Salas starting to stretch his legs a little bit over Keith Jackson in P2. Looks like your two at the front have a little bit of space between themselves and lap traffic. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at 25 minutes of the hour.
Basically just spun out in front of Donovan Ross and
says student driver on the side of the 414, Roger.
Gartzer and Donovan are going at it pretty good.
That is Schartzer in the 6 car. Pulls up, tries to tuck underneath. He'll take the position, although that was not for position. That was a lap car. Schartzer able to get by in the Mercedes.
I think Donovan probably didn't put much pressure on there.
Isaac Sal still on the point. Little over 5 seconds between himself and Keith Jackson. Those two have been at the front of the field all night. Schartzer in a solid P3. Biggest mover of the night is Brian Lawson in the Venom number 9, as he is in P7. He's moved up 5 places.
We're just hit the halfway mark, and Keith Jackson's made up most of that that he lost. He's now, I think, 3-4 seconds behind where he was about 7 seconds. So it's could be really close by the end here. And I think they still have to get up to the top.
So since we're on a road course, I got to tell you, I was on the Pit Side podcast with you and my good friend Preston Cramner, and you guys were talking about F1, and I had no clue. You might as well have been talking quantum physics or something. I had no clue. Since then, I started watching the Drive to Survive, and have become a fan of F1, actually.
The Drive to Survive was every season is a phenomenon.
Yeah, I agree. Steve Bixler off track came back on. Jason Butterfield off track, back on. Kyle Moonen actually went off track, as you can see right there in that number 24. He may be done for the night. He's shutting it down. Jump to the pits. So Moonen in the pits currently.
It does look like Dittmer, he had connection problems.
So Dittmer out of the race. Everyone else still going. Greg Boydell in 4th. Again, Brian Lawson running a very consistent, solid race. He's moved up 5 positions in the 9 car. Coming up on the tail end of Jack Clevenger. Oh, I'm sorry, the 75, so he's coming up on Steven Bixler. Lawson to the inside. Bixler is going to give way, well, kind of, and let that 9 car by. No change in the top 5. Jack Clevenger in that 78 machine is still in the top 5. Trying to get by the 414, and he will. Colin Johnson, he's next to go by. Both those student drivers there, the 13 and
Isaac just had some technical problems. I don't know if he's reconnected or not.
I'm seeing him on track.
For a few seconds. Yeah, he disappeared. He had, and he has had some connection issues, the last few weeks in our league. So hopefully nothing like that happens.
So yeah, I was gonna say he had connection issues in Friday Night Lights also. And he sent me the weather. We were texting earlier this week. Negative 40-something crazy degrees in North Dakota. So maybe it's so cold that the internet doesn't work.
Might be. That's cold, man. That's what I know Joe Backus was in South Dakota. And I threw him off one time saying, you know, you live 35, I'm in Canada, and he lives 35 miles further north than I do. And he didn't believe that at first until it revealed the map.
You know, you told me that once, and I looked it up. I couldn't believe it. I'm in California, and I can't remember what you said was...
Southern tip of Pelee Island is in Northern California, like at the same latitude.
That's insane when you think about it.
Yeah.
Isaac South, Keith Jackson still at the front of the field. Jackson has the interval down to just under 5 seconds. As Roger said, we have hit the halfway mark. Steve Goldner up 5 positions in the number 30 machine.
And just sim time right now is 1:03 in the morning, so I don't think we're going to we'll probably get to 5 in the morning at the end of this race. So I don't think it's late enough for sunrise. That would have been interesting.
So when iRacing does their 24-hour and whatever, it's not accelerated, correct? It is 24 hours,
Yeah,
no
it's-
kidding.
It's 24 hours, yeah, and weather, you know, it might rain and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure Jeff made sure that it was going to rain. We have enough trouble handling the track as it is without it being, greasy.
Bixler has gone off the course. You can see the number 75 without a wing and the rear deck of that car missing, so he's been off track.
Looks like he's limping to the pits. He's got some steering problems.
Yeah, he's got the steering wheel turned to the right just to get the car to go straight. So do they have quick repairs, Roger?
Yes, they have 2. Actually, we've got 2 quick repairs in every race that for this week. Okay, it's a charity event. We want to make sure guys can stay in the race.
Steve Bixler trying to get a quick repair here. Get back out on track. Isaac Salas holding his right at 5-second lead.
Boydell is up to 4th.
Boydell's up 2 positions in the 014, the Bass Pro Shop machine. Got to tell you, Roger, enjoy following you on your journeys. iRacing, it seems, was your job, for lack of a better term, in retirement. And it seems to me that the vacations have come more often. And I'm living my best life through you, my friend. I know you just got back, and the scenery where you were at was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great getaway. My wife has had some heart issues and has made the drugs today are just the good drugs are amazing, and she's in a much better place, and it was great to get away.
Well, good for both of you. I enjoy. I don't think sometimes when we post things we consider the impact we have on others, but I look forward to it every time you guys leave town.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Your day will come. I'm envious of you of all these national parks you go to.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane, and we shall see what the future holds. Getting ready to head back to Ohio here in the very near future, in the Akron area for a project. We can't get to Put-in Bay, Ohio, which is out in the lake, as you know. It's all frozen over, so we have to meet at Cuyahoga Valley National Park for our pre-construction meeting. So I'm looking forward to... Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to Put-in Bay for sure.
Yeah, that looks like a pretty cool place.
It is indeed. We got some gorgeous national parks.
Glacier National Park. Have you been to Glacier?
You know what? I was stationed in Montana, and I work for the National Park Service. I have never been to Glacier.
Oh, yeah, and you got to go do the road to the sun. I don't know if I could do it again. It's, you know, white knuckle. It's an awesome drive. Just incredible.
I'll have to see if I can't wrangle a project up that way.
Yeah, there you go. The changing the subject here, that was an unfortunate ending for that UMP race. What happened was there was a wreck. They hadn't crossed the finish line for one lap to go, but they did before the wreck stopped. If you know what I mean, like the caution had come out of the wreck, and there was 4 cars in turn 3 and 4 on the final lap. It was an unfortunate way to end that race.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. And that goes to the experience in UMPs, because we get those nights, as you know, in iRacing, that it's just caution after somebody off the track there. Caution after caution, and it happens. And UMPs are not a real popular car to run.
They're not in my book. Those cars are a handful. I ended up getting pulling off the track. I didn't want to cause any issues for anybody.
So Keith Jackson has the lead down to 4.5 seconds. Roger, do you have the software that tells you if they've come in for pit stops yet?
No, I don't have that, and I wish I did. Actually, I did have one of those. Some racing apps had something in it, but I changed my leaderboard, and I don't have that information on mine.
So those guys are going to have to come in, I would think. I'm actually looking at my board. How many laps? 21.5 at the front of the field for Isaac Salas. Coming up on 22 laps. Oh, Jack Clevenger. Let's take a look. See what happened to Jack Clevenger. You can see him going into the corner here. Oh, just gets loose coming out, nose right into the wall. So Clevenger hopefully can get to the pits for a quick repair.
That was, he didn't look that bad there. I thought he had it under control, but maybe he just hit those berms a little bit too hard.
Yeah, it looks like car just snapped loose and straight into the outside wall. Brennan Lacey battling with Kyle Moonen. Is able to get by in the 414 car.
I see Gail Bixler's up to P6.
Bixler trying to crack into the top 5. Colin Johnson, the next car.
Lawson's not too. Oh, Lawson just pitted. I wonder if it's coming up to that time. Or
Jack Clevenger pitted. Brian Lawson pitted. Show the 9 car coming into pit road. Isaac Salas on lap 23, as is Colin Johnson. Roger, those are the last 2 cars on the lead lap I'm showing.
I've got Goldner. It's the P9 is the last. Down the lap. 10.
SDK's let me down once again.
I could be wrong. you know, the hardest part here for an old guy is, well, one is learning the different tracks. But because they had the Daytona 24 here, I know this track, we ran it enough. But it's learning all the different tracks each week. But the other is, you know, they're hour races, and it's not hard to lose focus. You know, if you just miss your braking point going into the bus stop by just a bit, like that might have been what happened to Clevenger. Not that he's an old guy, although he might be, but just, you know, if you miss that braking point, you just lose focus for just a second and can really cause havoc.
Yeah, I'd be in trouble. I'm too easily distracted. Imagine if Jack Clevenger last year went on a journey up here to Chico for the, can't remember if it was the World of Outlaws race maybe, and passed right by the house, and I caught up with him too late on Messenger. I was going to meet up with Jack, but went on a journey last end of the race season.
I was hoping to meet those guys at Knoxville a couple of years ago, but they were there the year before and didn't come back. But I met, you know, a lot of C2C guys. I mean, these are the guys that got me through COVID. You know, you met friends, and when you meet them, like Steve Bixler and Steve Maurer and Brandon Templeton and Isaac, it's like you've known them for years. You know, even though it's the first time you've met them, it's like you've known them for years.
You know, we talk about that, and C2C gets together. You guys have gatherings that I have not made it to single one. I feel like I know Brandon Templeton, Brian Dickens, and Kurt Schatzer. We've been together for 4 years, and we've never met in person. And a day does not go by without us having a conversation on Discord. Not a day. Holiday, it doesn't matter. Even when I was on vacation. Oh!
I don't see Isaac.
Barry Goldner went around. Isaac Salas. Yeah, I don't see him on my board either.
He disappeared off my screen. You know, I marked that down like it's engine problems or something. You know, we know it's the internet, but it's just no different than having a mechanical problem in the car. So, you know, it's a breakdown.
Yeah, Keith Jackson inherits the lead. Now Schartz are up to P2. Greg Boydell. Alice is falling, and I show him in P5, but I don't see him on the track. Colin Johnson in P4.
I don't even see anything where he got like lost connection in the comment. So, and it's still showing him in P1. No, not now.
I see him in P6, but when I click on his name, his car does not show up.
That's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate for him.
So Keith Jackson with a 20-second lead over second place Schartzer. So Keith Jackson, if he runs a smooth race, we got 15 minutes left, as I'm seeing. I may be wrong, but he could take home the victory with the 15 minutes of smooth laps.
I think 12 minutes now, so yeah, you just got to keep her smooth.
The 94 car, that is Gary Offit. As we go through, Greg Boydell making a pass on Brian Lawson. Lawson missing the rear body work on that machine. Donovan Ross crashed. Brandon Templeton went off the track.
It's only got 8 on the lead lap now. Actually, it'll be 7 because I'm still showing him 50. He had such a lead on some of these guys. He hasn't come down far enough yet.
Keith Jackson, 20.5-second lead over Corey Schartzer in P2. Greg Boydell is another 10 seconds behind Schartzer. Chad Griggs went off track. Jack Clevenger entered the pits. Brandon Templeton passed Clevenger because of that. So Brandon Templeton moving up. Up currently in the top 10, P9. Isaac Salas I'm showing in P10, but again, he does not show up on my screen.
That's really unfortunate. That was going to be quite a duel, I think, in the end with him and Jackson.
Yeah, indeed. Kel Bixler in P5. Up front, Keith Jackson, from the beginning, has been at the front of the field, driving the smooth race so far. Brian Lawson went off track, came back on. That car has been damaged. Let's take a look at Brian Lawson. Missing the back body work once again. I'm not sure what happened to Brian Lawson, Roger, but the back side of that car is missing.
Never a good sign.
Colin Johnson having a good night.
Stephen Goldner's pitting.
Chad Griggs just passed Stephen Goldner. Griggs, he had problems early, but he seems to have gathered it back in, currently running in P6. So Griggs having a consistent night.
Goldner just fueled. Both Goldners actually both coming out of the pits now. Whoa! Somebody there, Jason Butterfield just spun out right in front of Keith Jackson. I think that was a handy wipes moment for Jackson.
Let's take a look. That is your leader right behind the 93. Butterfield trying to get out of the way, and you're right, Roger, right in front of your leader.
Yes, that'll be a change underwear at the end of the race.
Brennan Lacey off track and back on, and then off track again and back on. Brennan Lacey has a handful. See if we can't catch up with Brennan Lacey. There he is in the 414 machine.
Chad Griggs has been doing a good job. He's thrown a lap down, but he's in 6th place. No, I don't know if he is pitted. Goldner pitted was behind him, so that might change. Steve Bixler's up to P11. It's always good to see a salty dog get a top 10.
Got one more position to get, and that is Jack Clevenger, who is a minute and 12 seconds ahead. Again, Roger, I apologize. I don't have the pit board that I can tell who's pit and who hasn't. That's probably required when you're doing road course stuff in NASCAR.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know when Marty or these guys, Travis, they do the NASCAR stuff. They seem to have so much knowledge of what's going on in the pit, where everybody's at.
Yeah, I'm just a knuckle dragging dirt guy. But we're making it through. Keith Jackson still at the front of the field, 20 seconds ahead of Schartzer in P2. Greg Boydell still in the top 3 in the 014 machine. Colin Johnson, Cale Bixler. That is your top 5. Chad Griggs that we talked about. Steve Goldner, Brian Lawson, Brandon Templeton still in the battle, and Jack Clevenger rounds out your top 10. Brennan Lacey. What are you showing? I'm showing lapped up to P6. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Chad Griggs, the last car on the lead lap.
I'm showing him a lap down. I know he just moved over for Clevenger. But, yeah, he's showing a lap down. We only got less than 5 minutes left.
We will get a word with your top three at the conclusion. Keith Jackson at the front of the field with a 19, now 20-second lead over Schartzer and Greg Boydell. So in the mind of a driver, Roger, when you look up at the board, you're 16 seconds behind if you're Boydell. You in a podium. Is it time to ride? And do you refocus at that moment?
I would think so because, yeah, with only 5 minutes to go, you're comfortably ahead of P4. And I don't think he's not going to make up 27 unless Schartzer's going to lose control. But nobody is racing for position at the front right now, so nobody's being pressed or stressed.
Oh, Keith Jackson coming into the pits. He came in with a 20-second lead. Keith Jackson, your leader, on pit road with probably 4 minutes to go, Roger?
Yeah. Well,
let's see if Corey Schartzer... Now Schartzer's on pit lane.
Okay, Jackson just came out. Good pit stop for him.
Keith Jackson coming back out on the course. Eight-second lead over Greg Boydell in the 014 machine. Now 7 seconds, 7.5. Can Boydell make up the time? Boydell working lap traffic. He's able to get by.
He's done his pit stop.
You think he'd try to stretch it? Can you?
I know if you run a fuel, you're out of fuel. I think, it's just the fact that it looked like these guys were trying to make it and then realized they couldn't.
Greg Boydell, 8.5 seconds. So Keith Jackson coming into the pits, comes back out, starting to put a gap between himself and second place Boydell and Schartzer. Boydell was able to get by Schartzer for P2.
Yeah, because he must have pitted earlier maybe, or he's gonna have a fuel issue. We're not sure here. So this could be interesting to watch Boydell and see how he makes out.
Are cautions turned on for a race like this?
Just cautions would only be in the corner. But just caution come out if they like be careful. There's no caution lap. No, it's just they keep racing. And Boydell has had to pit. He's coming in the pits now, so he's trying to make it to the end. He was just a minute away from getting all the way.
Colin Johnson, the next. Will Boydell hold on to a podium? Colin Johnson currently 26 seconds behind Boydell, so Greg Boydell should be able to get out of the pits, I would think.
I'm watching him in the pits here. He had no issues getting in his box. Seems to be in there for a while. These things don't fuel up that fast, though.
He took tires.
Okay. Here he goes. So he probably forgot to turn them off. So where is Schartzer on the track?
So next in line, I'm showing Colin Johnson. So Boydell will come out with 11-second lead.
I'm showing Johnson in the pits.
Schartzer went by Boydell on my board, Roger, and gets a little bit loose there.
Yeah, and Johnson, he pitted too. Johnson is usually a big strategist with the fuel, especially the NASCAR stuff. So I think he was trying to make it to the end as well and just couldn't pull it off.
Boydell still in a podium after his pit stop. Keith Jackson, Corey Schartzer, Greg Boydell are your top three. So Corey Schartzer able to get by Boydell while Boydell was in the pits late in the race.
Laps to go. Joe.
2, you said?
Yep.
Keith Jackson with a 18 second lead over Corey Schartzer in P2. Schartzer working some lap traffic. Greg Boydell in P3. He is way back, 38 seconds or so from P2.
Fun work with it, Joe.
If you weren't up here, I don't know what I would have done. So greatly appreciated. First time we've worked together. You've had me on Pitside Podcast a couple times. Enjoyed that.
And really appreciate you stepping up to cover this.
Absolute pleasure for all you do. Keith Jackson, Corey Schartzer, Greg Boydell. Schartzer actually made the pass there, running in a comfortable second. Boydell, 39 seconds behind Schartzer.
I think I picked Mr. Jackson.
All your top three running safe space as long as they don't go off track. Colin Johnson, 9 seconds behind Boydell in P4. First car on the outside looking in at a podium finish.
I give a big shout out to Cale Bixler with it. Looks like he's going to have a P5 finish. So.
Steve Goldner is the hard charger, up 8 positions from the start. Oh, and around he goes. No, that wasn't him. I don't know who that was. Steven Goldner up 8 positions from his start in P6. Is this the last lap?
I'm still seeing 2 to go, and I'm a little surprised at that. So should be 1 to go now, I think. No, Jackson's coming through the bus stop.
Yes, Keith Jackson closing in on a victory in the GT3's at the road course, on the road course at Daytona. Schartzer P2, Greg Boydell, no change in your top 3. Colin Johnson, kind of 8.5 second gap between himself and Boydell out of a podium. And the race, checkered flag is out. So Keith Jackson.
You know what? Great run by all the guys, actually. And the incidents didn't really get out of hand. You know, everybody looks to be below 20 incidents. So, oh, I'm looking at the wrong column.
Oh, wait a minute.
Still stands. Yeah, most of them were below 20. So they did, you know, for a bunch of dirt guys, they did a great job here on this track.
Keith Jackson, Corey Schartzer, Greg Boydell, your top three. We'll get a word with your top three here momentarily. Colin Johnson, Cale Bixler, Steve Goldner, Chad Griggs, Brian Lawson, Brandon Templeton, and Jack Clevenger rounds out your top 10. Still racing hard. Steven Bixler will finish. Barry Goldner in the Mustang had a wreck early. But it will be Keith Jackson, your GT3 winner. 1 hour race, 35 laps completed. As they all come for their podium shot, Corey Schartzer. Greg Boydell still out on track, heading towards the flag stand.
Looks like Craig will be a little bit to get there. He's the thumb back right now.
Roger, you want to interview Boydell and Jackson, and I'll get Schartzer?
Sure, although you probably do a lot better job interviewing than I would.
I'm not so sure, my friend.
I can try.
Greatly appreciate you coming in the booth. A little bit slower than the dirt tracks, but all in all, a good race. Like you said, no major incidents. We had quite a few cars drop out, but the rest put on a heck of a show. As we wait for Greg Boydell, here he comes for the podium shot. Keith Jackson, Corey Schartzer, and Greg Boydell, your top three. We'll get a word once they get up into the waiting room. Corey Schartzer is in the waiting room, waiting on Greg Boydell in the 014 Bass Pro. There's Keith Jackson. Roger, I'm going to bring up Greg Boydell. All yours.
Greg, congratulations, Roger in the booth here.
Hi, Roger. Thank you.
That was a good run, Greg. I had you as it was one of the regulars. I knew you'd be running up near the front.
Yeah, thanks. I guess the Corvettes were a little bit faster. I'm assuming that's what the front two had.
How did you find the race?
After the first 3 or 4 laps and people got strung out, it was really good.
Did you you only had the one pit stop, did you, with for fuel?
Yeah, I had it with about 2 or 3 to go. And unfortunately, it took tires on me.
Yeah, we saw that. I thought you were going to get second place out of this thing, and then saw you spending a little extra time in there. So that's always a bad feeling when you see the car go up on the lift when you're just expecting fuel.
Yeah, I thought I had it turned off, but as DW said, give me 4 Mr. Feelgoods.
So that should get you a few points for this series. So it was a good night out for the Boydell team.
Yeah, and it was kind of fun representing the retread guys too. So it was a good night overall.
Always good to have an old guy on the podium, buddy. Who'd you like to thank?
I just want to thank our sponsors and the volunteers and want to send our well wishes out to Grady Chandler and his family. What he's going through for a second time is not fun. I've been there, done that, and it's a long road to recovery for any kind of neck injury.
Yeah, he's certainly he's a tough kid, but yeah, he's hasn't had the luck on his side lately. So we're all pulling for him, that's for sure. Well, congratulations, Greg. I know we should see you on the podium again somewhere down the road this week. So a good run tonight.
Yeah, thanks again, Roger. And yeah, we got 3 roll the dice races coming up this week, so we'll have some fun with it.
Yeah, should be a good time.
Corey Schartzer brings the number 6 car home third, moves up 3 from his starting position. Corey, this is Joe. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Good run, man. So this is my first journey on a road course. Is this something that you're used to, or is this a first for you?
No, this is definitely something that I've actually taken up recently. I'd say within the last couple months. Venom has started some endurance team, and we've just kind of been just grinding away. We did the Daytona 24 this year and the Monza, so just practice before this, I guess.
So what was your strategy, man? Roger and I were talking up in the booth that kind of when it got strung out, Boydell had a pretty big lead over you, and I just wasn't sure what the strategy. I don't have the software to track pit stops, but when Boydell came in, man, that moved you up to P2. What was the strategy when you run these?
So what I like to do is I just make it to the start, survive, and then just put down consistent laps. You don't have to be a hot lap hero in these every time. As long as you're consistent within a second of your fastest lap, you save fuel at that point. You save tires. I was able to go 1 lap further than he was at the end there. And so I pitted before him, but I was able to save that fuel in the end and not add it to the car at the end. So I was lighter at the end of the race than he was.
So a lot of calculations going on, right? When you're trying to figure out, am I full throttle? Am I, it's a little bit, quite the opposite than dirt racing when you hold it to the floor most of the time and just wish for the best. So,
absolutely.
Man, great run by that 6 car to see another Venom driver. We're not sure, Isaac Salas ran Venom wrap tonight. Kind of dropped out of the race, disappeared.
He had an upload packet issue with his internet.
Well, yeah,
so is just kind of disconnected.
Roger and I are talking about that. It's negative 40 whatever degrees. Probably froze everything. So
yeah, so it's him and Brandon Dittmer actually had the same problem tonight with the upload package thing, and they both live in very cold states. So I almost guarantee that's what it was for them.
All right, man. Well, great run. Put it in P2. Got some points. Who do you want to thank on that 6 ride for a podium finish?
Always got to thank my boys over at Venom. You know, Brian Lawson, Isaac, Butch, Malachi. Those are the OGs of Venom. So shout out them. Also, like to shout out 221X Endurance Team. Brandon Dittmer specifically, Patrick Spangler, Dan McLaren, me and Isaac. Other than that, just my family for watching, and you guys for putting the broadcast on, and Coast to Coast for putting this league on. Always appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So what are the plans for the week? Are you running every night?
I am running. I'm going to try to run all the asphalt stuff, not so much the dirt stuff. I do have in real life commitments for Tuesday, but I am going to try to make the trucks.
Well, man, congratulations. I'll be watching.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Roger, I will bring up Keith Jackson if you're ready.
Keith Jackson, Roger in a booth here, buddy. Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy. How we doing?
Doing good. I'm doing really good. I wish there was like a pool or you know, some betting line because I picked you to win. So you know, I could have been a rich man tonight.
Appreciate that. I got a little lucky there at Salas. Dropped internet or something because I stepped on it bigger than heck coming out of the chicane in the backstretch there early on, and I don't think I was going to be able to catch them back. I would have had to try to save fuel or something to try to flip-flop them.
I don't know. That was a great. It was a great race between the two of you. While it lasted, and after you spun there, you were catching them. We were talking about. This could be a real interesting ending because you were starting to take a bit of the time off. So it's unfortunate that didn't happen. But you ran a great race. Um, did all that practice with SRC pay dividends?
Oh, I believe so, yeah, because I don't think if I wouldn't have had practice time, I don't think I would have known where the damn corners were on the track. Yeah, I get these road courses, man. I gotta run them and run them and run them so I can remember where all the turns are at to remember where to brake and all that good stuff. So yeah, I definitely think it paid off.
So, um, do you run these cars often or at all?
No, no, we just run them for this. There's a couple Sundays I've gotten on and usually end up wrecking out. So, but that's typically because I don't know, what the track is or anything like that. So, no, I mainly stick to asphalt trucks and 360s.
So the big question though is, will SRC be putting a team in for Sebring next month?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if we all got the time to put into it for something like that. To stay on top of it. This one being the Speed Week thing. We were and it being early in the year and the weather's still nasty out, we all got a little bit more indoor time. But once weather breaks, usually we all gotta get back to outdoor chores and all that good stuff.
Well, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but it's might not be that warm in another month. So, you know,
I sure as heck hope it is, man. It's
yeah.
frigid right now.
Well, I know, and I can't wait for it either. But anyways, us old guys, we got time to practice. It doesn't make us any better, but we're hoping to run Sebring. Those are fun races, and the fact you guys all came out together, it would be good if you could put something together. But you're setting yourself up pretty good for the week now. So, will you be racing most of the week?
Yeah, yeah, that's the plan. We're gonna try to make every race if possible. I think you said there's a couple drop nights that we have, so I might miss one or two, but for the most part, I think we should. I think all of us should make just about every one of them.
Well, this is definitely one you won't be dropping. So, congratulations on a great win, great consistent running, and who'd you like to thank?
Uh, Devo, Jackson, Greg, Gary, putting in a lot of time with me and wanting to rip some laps, and you guys putting this thing on, and hopefully hopefully end up raising quite a bit of money for charity.
Well, I really appreciate that. And what about Premier Doors? You got to thank them too, don't you?
Oh yeah, well that'd just be thanking my wife, I guess. Me and her own it, so okay, might as well. That yeah, definitely thank her for letting me spend so much time here on this thing the last couple days.
Yeah, that's that's you don't want to miss that one for sure, especially when you're
You
looking at
bet,
4 more
you
days
bet.
of racing. So,
Right.
congratulations on a great night, buddy. That was
All
awesome.
right, appreciate it, Roger. You have a good one, buddy.
You too.
So, Roger, there you go. There is night one of Speed Weeks. Thank you for having me. Thank you for coming up in the booth. It's always great to catch up with you. I know we chat back and forth quite a bit, not as much as I would like, but my friend, thank you for coming in the booth and joining me throughout this last hour.
It's been great, Joe. And the one last question before I go is, are we going to see you on the track this week?
So I didn't plan on racing. I told you I took the seat out of my dwarf car, so my rig is currently tore completely apart. The dirt track bank guys tried to talk me into doing 358s, but I guess I could sit on a bucket, maybe. I'll have to send you pictures.
Yeah,
So
it can't be any worse than Steve Mauer's setup with his Walmart folding chair and an old beat up cushion duct tape to it. So.
And I tell the story. Of course, we actually did a Pitside podcast on when I got my sim rig, and I got to tell you, I won more races on my old Thrustmaster wheel that was kind of bolted to a desk and 3 19-inch monitors than I have ever won in this rig. So, man, sometimes it just doesn't matter what you have. skill comes into play a lot of times. So I don't know. If we get it back together, yes. I'm waiting on some aluminum extrusion to come in. So if it comes in, yeah, absolutely, I'll join in.
Well, we'd love to have you. And if not, we'll see you a week Tuesday with the old boys.
Man, I can't wait. I'm actually excited. I need to get some practice in, but yeah, I'm excited. So thanks for having me, Roger.
Thanks again, Joe. Really appreciate what you did. And thanks to all the drivers that came out to support this great event.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. There is night one of Speedweeks. Tune in to Coast Racing League all week long, and you'll see a ton of different cars that are running. Again, Coast to Coast Racing League, C2CRL.com if you need any information, or if you want to just follow along, you look at Coast to Coast Racing League on YouTube. It will be broadcast all week long. Greatly appreciate everybody for tuning in. And ladies and gentlemen, until next time, we'll see you.
Mission 22 was founded on the timeless principle that America's warriors are equally valuable overseas as they are within our borders. We are unwaveringly committed to the journey back home and understand the barriers our heroes face when making the often arduous and taken for granted transition home. Trauma is an opportunity. While bleeding, hidden pains of the past can never be removed. We can transform them into something brand new and beautiful. We can grow through trauma to become our community's cornerstone, the safest neighbor on the block, the strongest leader in the office, the most caring volunteer at the elementary school. The Recovery and Resiliency Program is a year-long, and it uses everything from cutting-edge biometric tools to science-backed supplements. This is a catalyst to take the deep scars suffered for our nation's sake and turn them into opportunities to direct our God-given purpose and energies as protectors toward a refreshed and meaningful life. By committing to this year-long program, you will be happier, stronger, and wiser. Your PTS and/or TBI may not leave you, but you will be more comfortable in your own skin, and your suffering will begin to have meaning. Our goal is to give warriors one thing, the truth. Let's take responsibility for our healing.